Coffeemachines is an engineering milestone. A team of Ukrainian masters involved in restoring and transforming old coffee machines. How to determine the level of professionalism of barista in your coffee shop. For the first time, UATV decided to go behind the scenes of the coffee brewing industry in a modern-day metropolis. Among numerous decorations on a table, coffee can be considered the most valuable one. It invigorates your body, but does not poison it. The pleasant aroma and delectable taste of coffee will never make you sad, exhaust you, or weaken your body. Clearly, Benjamin Franklin wrote these inspiring lines just after savoring a cup of strong coffee. In his times, in the 18th century, it was common to brew crushed coffee grains by simply boiling them or putting its leaves in a small bag, until one of the worst enemies of the father of the American Revolution began the Coffee Revolution. His name was Benjamin Thompson. He was an American who supported Britain in the war, and after its defeat, he left for London. Like Franklin, he was a scientist, an inventor, and was especially keen on everything related to heat exchange. Thompson is credited with the first models of thermal underwear for the Bavarian army, an innovative design of a fireplace that was quickly introduced in the UK, and even the invention of an oven with several burners. Among other things, Thompson radically improved the well-known design of the drip coffee pot, so that the bevy would remain hot for a long period of time. Today, its technological successors, coffee machines, that make a special noise, can be found in many corporate offices. Since the 18th century, coffee machines have become more sophisticated and sometimes require some specific repair or even a complete overhaul.
Основная наша специализация – это на качественном подготовке кофейного оборудования.
We specialize in the production of high-quality coffee equipment.
Иногда можно назвать это тюнингуем.
We improve these machines in order that they brew the best, top-quality coffee.
Качественный кофе.
Yuri Filipov and his team say that they know everything about modern coffee machines. Cafes and restaurants from all over Ukraine and in other countries use their services. Kyiv is not our main customer. In fact, we service not only cafes and restaurants in the capital of Ukraine, but also other cities. We also sell our coffee machines to Switzerland and Kazakhstan, but other countries. What is so special in this workshop that it attracts establishments in foreign countries? Why did Ukrainian restaurators become coffee machine engineers? And how does the type of machine helps determine the quality of coffee? To find out the answers, brew yourself a cup of aromatic coffee and watch our program. Over the past 100 years, coffee culture has changed 3 times. The first wave started with instant coffee in tin cans, which became highly popular in the US in the early 20th century. The second coffee wave started in the 1960s, when legendary Alfred Pitt from California introduced small batches of fresh, strongly roasted coffee as an alternative to mass production. Later, stores began not only selling coffee grains, but also brewed them for testing. This led to the boom of coffee shops chains that one could hop in for a hot cup of fresh brewed coffee before or after work, and they required standardized batch coffee machines, which stand in any cafe these days. The start of the 21st century was the third wave that included small coffee shops that viewed coffee more as a product with character than a widely consumed product. This required a coffee machine with more subtle settings. Opening their first coffee shop 10 years ago, Yuri Filipov and his business partner had no idea which wave they wanted to catch. It was in Theophany when we came up with the idea to make a coffee house. I was engaged in mining equipment and my partner was a lawyer. Neither of us had been involved in the coffee business. The idea seemed to be interesting. At that time, Ukraine experienced a boom in the coffee business. Nobody at that time was aware that there was professional equipment used especially for this enticing business. Yuri and his partner opened the first coffee shop in a shopping center and expanded their network to almost 10 shops over a period of 5 years. But over time, they diversified their business. One restaurator friend started ordering coffee as an intermediary. Strangely enough, we had a reserve coffee maker, which we rented to our client, and then we started to simply deliver coffee and sell it to our clients, the first, second, third, and 10th batch. Without even noticing, we understood that we were delivering coffee every day and were servicing equipment. Those who open their cafes can rarely afford to buy a new coffee machine because the best European samples cost as much as a decent car. Therefore, Yuri and his team focused on repair and restoration of second-hand coffee machines. In other words, they were basically forced to start from scratch. We started to disassemble coffee machines in order to understand exactly how they operated. Then we reassembled one. 2 days later, when the coffee machine broke down, we understood that we assembled it in the wrong way. Our mistake was that we tried to understand how it works without reading the instructions. What is hidden under the body of a modern coffee machine? And how do these aggregates affect the taste of coffee? Especially for UATV, Yuri Filipov and his masters decided to show us how it works. Up to the mid-19th century, it was believed that heat was a kind of an invincible fluid that flows from object to object. But Benjamin Thompson claimed that warm and cold rays are responsible for this. The scientist, of course, was mistaken, but his theory later helped develop thermodynamics, and his drip coffee pot proved the importance of heat exchange for making a tasty libation. The modern coffee machine was designed on those very same principles. There are two factors that have an impact on the process of coffee making: heat exchange and water pressure. This is what we need to achieve and provide quality. All coffee-making machines have a pump, an engine, and heating elements, heaters. However, there is a specific difference in the process of transferring the heat to the beverage. According to Yuri, a plastic body often prevents from transferring the heat from heaters to the water for welding. That's why most office coffee machines, especially inexpensive ones, make not very delicious coffee. Proper heat exchange needs a special metal construction. The water is heated in this special boiler. Its volume is exactly 11 liters. The boiler is filled with about 70% water and then the water boils. Steam rises to the heat exchange unit or a large metal tube that is heated up by steam. That is, good modern coffee machines heat water by means of steam. This allows them to keep a stable temperature that will be the same from portion to portion, just as it would be in the process of boiling. There is another type of coffee machine with a heat exchange unit that goes through the boiler. Cold water rises up from below and is heated up when passing through heated water in the boiler. There is a special type of coffee machine called a multi-boiler. That is, it contains a separate heating element for every batch. The brewing unit in a coffee machine is called a construction tap. Water from there flows to the pressed coffee pod in the holder. There can be from 1 to 3 taps. Advanced models have the function of separate setting in order that a barista can prepare different types of espresso in one and the same machine. The fact is that all coffee machines have one thing in common: their continuous functioning eventually leads to a breakdown or the wear and tear of their elements. We often receive a fully finished and assembled coffee machine that is filled with a whole bunch of scale deposits. Its many grooves and metal elements are completely eroded. In addition to that, inside there are outdated and worn-out electronic elements. Coffee machines used by Ukrainian consumers are produced by a limited number of European plants. It's impossible to repair this highly specialized equipment without its original parts. This even applies to the water tank of a special design. The most challenging task of our service is to give every coffee machine a brand new life. Our task is to disassemble it completely down to the bare frame and then reassemble it to its original form. When it came off the assembly line in the factory, this includes not only assembling as shown on the picture but complying with all European quality specification standards so that it would once again function as if it were brand new. Yuri and his masters buy old coffee machines from Italy and restore them, even changing their outer appearance. Many coffee shops, especially those of the third wave, are interested not only in the quality of coffee, but also that the coffee machine match the interior of the shop. It can be just a visual change. For example, we had a coffee machine, the body of which we completely covered with natural leather. We made its sides mahogany and added wood elements everywhere to its handles and inserts. which were then varnished to preserve these aesthetic elements of beauty. When our clients from a local men's club saw our refurbished coffee machine, they said it was exactly what they were looking for to put in their establishment, especially for their regular visitors. However, before sending a coffee machine to a new owner, Yuri tries to make sure that its new owner is making the right decision. Because if his business does not fail, the coffee machine can be returned. The most common misconception is that a coffee machine will do all for a person. A coffee brewing machine doesn't make coffee on its own. Without special knowledge, skills, and experience, nobody will ever be able to make the perfect cup of coffee that is good to the last drop. But how do you determine whether or not a person making coffee for you every morning knows and complies with the health regulations and standards? Yevhen Kostishche is the main barista of a Kyiv coffee shop chain. He uses a coffee-making machine that was restored in Yuri's workshop. He advises first of all to pay attention to the steamers. They are mainly used for whipping milk froth.
Многие брезгуют просто протереть буквально кончик сопла.
Many baristas simply avoid wiping the end of the nozzle. Usually, an incrustation of milk accumulates on the nozzle. And when you see a thick incrustation of milk on the end of the steamer, then you should immediately run away from it.
Надо оттуда бежать.
The second rule: a coffee pod holder should always be attached to the unit. To achieve high-quality brewing, it is necessary to keep heat exchange between them that ensures a stable temperature of the elements. This follows the third rule: to start the working day by thoroughly cleaning the coffee machine.
Нельзя только
Serving a cup of coffee without having cleaned the machine is not permissible. You clean the machine in each specific group. Some use 1 to 2 schemes or brew one drink in each group.
Я на каждой группе делаю по одному напитку.
We recommend using the 1-to-1, 2-to-2 scheme. In other words, making 2 drinks in each group.
Мы делаем по 2 напитка.
So, coming to your favorite coffee shop, you should make sure that it is not the first cup in the shop that particular today. The next rule can scare away Americano and tea lovers when a non-professional barista incorrectly uses this side socket.
Многие не знают даже работу, имея...
Many, even experienced barista are unaware that water from this socket is not suitable for drinking. It is processed water.
Потому что это вода техническая.
For making high-quality Americano, it's necessary to use separate, clean and preferably filtered water.
Нужно пользоваться отдельной, чистой, желательно фильтрованной водой.
Filtered but not distilled water, otherwise the bevy will lose its taste and aroma. For delivering the taste of good coffee beans, Yuri Filipov advises to clean not only the sorts of coffee beans, but also the water that is used for brewing coffee in absolutely every coffee shop. The quality of a bevy depends on certain factors. It would divide it in two between water and coffee equipment and coffee quality and barista skills. We have not paid so much attention to the water before. We learned that using tap and bottled water gives the same taste to coffee is a total fallacy. Trying to raise barista's culture in Ukraine, Yuri's workshop supports national championships which are organized under the aegis of the Specialty Coffee Association. In early 2018, Ukrainian Slava Babic won the World Cup of Coffee in the competitions held in the United Arab Emirates, so this is definitely progress. Meanwhile, Yuri is developing his own coffee machine.
Мы все эти кофеварки очень хорошо знаем. Мы знаем, как
We know everything about coffee machines, and we can combine all this knowledge in one coffee machine, which we will create. Most likely, it will be based on a well-known brand.
В одной кофеварке, которую создадим мы,
But we understand how to make it new. That is, we're still in the process of development, and when this project is finished, then we can present it to the public, so they will be able to enjoy the best cup of coffee in Ukraine.
время закончится, тогда мы сможем его представить людям.
Modern coffee culture comes from Italy and the US. But who says that the whole world would not drink coffee Ukrainian style?